Let us engage in a first principles examination, a rigorous, unassailable, logic-driven discourse that pierces through the reactionary reflexes of those who say, tap the brakes. For over 2 decades, I have dedicated my life to RF safety advocacy, not as an obstructionist to technological progress, but as a relentless force for the responsible evolution of connectivity. Yet now, as we stand on the cusp of the greatest transformation in wireless communication history, some in our own community hesitate, clinging to outdated paradigms because they fear the unknown. The case for space-based broadband, a physically predictable, biologically preferable solution. Let us examine first principles, not opinions, not industry-funded narratives, but the immutable laws of physics governing radio frequency propagation. Inverse square law, the fundamental reality of distance and exposure. The power density of electromagnetic radiation decreases exponentially with distance. A cell tower 465 feet from a child's desk delivers orders of magnitude more RF exposure than a satellite thousands of kilometers away. A high-power terrestrial transmitter saturates everything within its immediate vicinity, while a space-based transmitter inherently disperses its energy over a vastly larger area, minimizing localized exposure. Predictability of exposure, the controlled nature of space-based emissions. Terrestrial cell towers and small cells emit RF radiation in an unpredictable, omnidirectional fashion, blanketing neighborhoods, schools, and workplaces indiscriminately. A satellite-based system directs its transmissions in a controlled, measurable manner, allowing for predictable shielding strategies like rooftop deflection panels, architectural shielding, and electromagnetic attenuation. Even if future studies identify non-thermal biological effects from space-based RF, we can mitigate exposure more effectively than with terrestrial towers, where radiation permeates homes, apartments, and classrooms from all angles. Eliminating RF hotspots near children and homes is crucial. The problem with ground-based towers is proximity. No matter how low the power, their emissions are constant and inescapable for those living near them. Space-based broadband removes the primary exposure point from population centers and places it in orbit, where only the necessary energy reaches the ground in a calculated, controlled manner. Schools and residential areas will no longer be saturated with chronic RF pollution, reducing the potential long-term impacts on neurodevelopment, fertility, and overall biological function. Thus, even in the worst-case scenario, where future studies confirm a biological effect from satellite RF signals, we will still have infinitely more control over mitigating exposure compared to the chaotic, omnipresent radiation from terrestrial networks. The transition to Li-Fi and light-based networks marks the end of indoor RF pollution. Space-based broadband solves the macro-scale problem of high-powered RF emissions from towers, but it is only one half of the necessary transition. The second half, the removal of unnecessary indoor RF exposure, is equally transformative. Li-Fi represents the evolution beyond microwave-based wireless communication. Instead of pulsing microwave frequencies through walls, ceilings, and bodies, Li-Fi transmits data using modulated light waves, visible and infrared. Li-Fi operates at speeds 100 times faster than Wi-Fi, while introducing zero RF pollution into indoor environments. Light waves do not penetrate walls, making Li-Fi far more secure than RF-based Wi-Fi, preventing cyber threats and enhancing data privacy. Mesh-based light networks. The seamless integration of fiber, Li-Fi, and space-based nodes. Future smart homes, offices, and schools will function as low-entropy, light-based data hubs, where Li-Fi access points seamlessly integrate with fiber optic cables and satellite-based broadband. The elimination of indoor Wi-Fi means children, students, and workers will no longer be subject to constant microwave bombardment from routers and access points. The economic opportunity, a multi-trillion-dollar industry shift. Just as the automotive industry replaced horse-drawn transport, the light-based networking revolution will phase out RF-based wireless infrastructure. The transition will create massive new markets, from Li-Fi hardware development to photonic data networking, establishing the United States as the leader in next-generation connectivity. Thus, the combined shift to space-based broadband and Li-Fi is not only a superior technological path, it is an unparalleled economic opportunity that will define the next century. The critics' arguments, a refutation of fear-based hesitation. Despite the overwhelming advantages of space-based broadband and Li-Fi, some in the RF safety community hesitate, arguing, "We don't have enough studies on satellite RF exposure." Yet we know without question that terrestrial RF exposure is harmful. The default should always be to remove the more immediate proven hazard first. Satellites still emit RF. What if they have long-term effects? Then we mitigate them. Predictability allows for shielding, deflection, and further refinement, but only if we first remove the uncontrolled ground-based sources. We don't know if Li-Fi can fully replace Wi-Fi, yet fiber optics have already proven that light-based transmission is vastly superior to RF for data transfer. The industry is simply resisting the inevitable. Every past technological revolution was met with the same fear-based hesitation, but time has always vindicated those who pushed forward despite resistance. The final word, why this transition must happen and will happen. Repealing Section 704 is the first step toward restoring public control over wireless safety. Mandating space-based broadband will permanently remove high-power RF pollution from population centers. Replacing Wi-Fi with Li-Fi will end chronic microwave exposure in homes, schools, and workplaces. This transition will create one of the greatest economic booms in modern history. If we fail to act, the RF industry will continue its uncontrolled saturation of our environment, leading to irreversible biological consequences. But if we embrace innovation, replace outdated RF networks, and transition to safer, more advanced communication technologies, we will not only protect future generations, we will usher in an era of unprecedented progress. This is no longer a debate of if, but when, and history will not remember those who hesitated. It will remember those who had the vision to lead. The future is light-based. The future is space-based. The future is now. #Trump Repeal 704. Remove RF from our daily lives. Secure the future for our children. Visit RF Safe to learn more.